Hey guys, King Kaiju here. Today we're going to be doing another Kaiju review, and today's Kaiju review is on yet another Kaiju I unboxed in the recent unboxing. Like Gyarados is a figure that I've been looking forward to getting for a very long time, and I would say a lot more so than Gyarados, because this guy is actually somewhat of a relevant Kaiju. That Kaiju being Jet Jaguar. Oh yeah, I finally got a Jet Jaguar figure, and of course, it's also the version that I've always wanted, because for the longest time, this was the only decent version of Jet Jaguar. This is the 2007 release, which was the first and for a very long time, like I said, only version of Jet that was available. That was until about a year or two ago when they started pumping out a bunch of Jet Jaguars. In fact, I believe at the same time, Playmates even made one. But out of all of those, I think this one is by far the best because it's just a very neutral looking Jet Jaguar. He's not striking any kind of crazy pose. He looks good on the shelf. He doesn't take up a bunch of space. Overall, just a very cool looking version of Jet, and I'm very glad that I finally have one, but we're gonna get more into that with the detail section. Which, if I bring him up close, this is actually a very well painted and sculpted out monster. Now, I'll be fair here, Jet is a very simple kaiju. He doesn't have a lot of detail going on, even in his movie appearance. But still, I think he actually looks very good here in figure form. For example, they sculpted all of the nuts and bolts on his back here, which looks really cool. The seam where I'm sure the suit actor got in here, that's actually sculpted out too. All of his leg warmers and arm warmer such contraptions are all sculpted out pretty good. And the paint is also incredible. Every part of him that should be painted is painted, and it pretty much looks like a one-to-one to the actual suit. That's another reason why I like this figure so much. Unlike the modern Bandai, this was made during a time where they didn't skimp out on the paint. Let's get into the articulation, which is meh. He is an Ultraman body kaiju. He just is kind of a humanoid, so Bandai does the usual routine. The arms can rotate all the way around, so you can get him punching monsters, doing his Jet Jaguar run, whatever you'd like him to do. Jet Jaguar is also known for flying, so you can get him to fly up in the air and all that. I do know that Bandai has made an actual flying version, but the feet are still like flat planted on the ground, so it doesn't really look like he's flying that much. And the waist can also rotate, albeit kind of awkwardly because his midsection is very thin. It's very wide across, but just like very slimmed down in the middle, so it's kind of like an oval shape. But that's the usual 3 points that Bandai gives these sorts of figures, kind of like most of their Ultramen, like I said. I do wish they would put more articulation on body morphs like this, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Now for sizing, I have a very special figure to pull out in the beginning, because this is the very first ever 6-inch Bandai figure I got, I believe. And that's the Bandai Creation Fusion Series Gigan. I'll go more in depth with this figure if I ever do review it, but it's really the only figure that I have from Godzilla vs. Megalon. If you want to go across, go across. No, you can't come towards the camera. It's already fragile enough as is. Come on. Come on. Come on. Now, with all that glazing about my Gigan over and done with, this is not very accurate sizing, to be honest with you. Gigan needs to be as tall as Jet, and realistically, he actually should be quite a lot taller, but, you know, what can you do? Next, I'll pull out a couple of mechas that I have to go along in the armory with Jet here, starting off with Kiryu. And this is another case where I think really it's just the Jet being a little bit too tall. He's probably about 6.5 inches where the usual size is like 6. Kiryu should be looking at him in the eyes rather than looking more so towards his chin, but whatever. Lastly, I'm going to pull out another mecha, and it is Mogira. Mogira is also somewhat of a tall figure, at least, you know, for a Mogira, so it works pretty well with the Jet here. And if any of you guys have watched Monster Island Buddies, there's another reason why I pulled these guys out. Putting Jet back in the middle, that is going to be the end of this Kaiju review. This is a very simple figure, to be honest with you, but that's part of the reason why I like him so much. It's just a basic Jet Jaguar. There's not a ton going on that isn't perfect already. I really don't have any complaints besides the articulation, but then again, that has always been something with Bandai. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard me go on this rant, but Ultra figures usually just have those 3 points. None in the legs, none in the head, nothing. Jet being an Ultraman ripoff, kind of, is no different really, so I can't give Bandai too much bullshit for that. The paint and the sizing is mainly what's going to carry this figure, and he is painted immaculately. The detail is slim, but he is a robot, and the detailing that is there is great. And the sizing is, you know, more than acceptable. He's a little bit taller than 6 inches, so he'll go fine with most of your monsters. With that being said, thank you all for watching this Kaiju review, and I'll see you all in the next one.